In the shadow of the Cold War, two superpowers faced off, armed with nuclear arsenals capable of ending the world. But while the public fixated on the missile gap, a different kind of arms race was happening in secret. This wasn't a war for territory or technology, but for the ultimate high ground, the human mind itself. A silent, undeclared war fought in the dark corners of our own reality. What if the most dangerous weapon wasn't a bomb, but an idea?
While nations built walls and bombs, intelligence agencies embarked on a far more terrifying project. They sought to dismantle the very walls of human consciousness, to turn the mind into a programmable asset. This wasn't science fiction. It was clandestine policy. It had a name, a budget, and a body count. Welcome to Project MKUltra. And unlike most conspiracies, this one starts with a horrifying admission. It was all real.
Our investigation begins not with whispers, but with declassified government files. In 1975, the Church Committee hearings pulled back the curtain, revealing a CIA program so disturbing it sounded like a pulp horror novel. Project MKUltra was the agency's top-secret quest to master mind control. They sought drugs and psychological techniques to do everything from forcing confessions to creating programmed assassins. The evidence was right there, printed in black and white, or what was left of it.
But here's where the truth becomes a ghost. In 1973, just before the investigations began, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the vast majority of MKUltra records destroyed, gone. An untold number of files detailing the program's darkest deeds were turned to confetti. Why? What was in those files that was so damning they had to erase it from history? The documents we have are just the tip of a terrifying iceberg. The rest is lost to the shadows.
From the surviving files, we know the CIA developed a deep obsession with one substance in particular: lysergic acid diethylamide, or LSD. They saw it as the key to unlocking the mind, a chemical that could dissolve the ego, erase memories, and create a blank slate. They didn't just study it in labs, they took it to the streets. The agency purchased the world's entire supply, ready to deploy it in their silent war.
Who were their test subjects? The documents reveal a horrifying truth. Anyone was fair game. They dosed their own agents, some of whom suffered permanent psychological damage. They dosed mental patients, prisoners, and drug addicts, people on the fringes of society whose stories would never be believed. Most chillingly, they administered LSD to unwitting American citizens. Men and women who had no idea they were lab rats in a secret government experiment. Every shadowy project has its architect. For MKUltra, it was a man named Sidney Gottlieb. A brilliant chemist with a PhD from Caltech, Gottlieb was the CIA's own Dr. Strangelove. He personally oversaw the LSD experiments, developed poison pills for captured spies, and dedicated his life to creating tools of psychological warfare. He was the man who brought the horrors of MKUltra to life, all in the name of national security. But where does security end and monstrosity begin? The program's depravity reached its peak with a sub-project so infamous it sounds like fiction. Operation Midnight Climax. The CIA set up brothels in cities like San Francisco and New York. They hired prostitutes, not for espionage, but for experimentation. The plan was as simple as it was evil. Lure unsuspecting men back to a CIA safe house and dose them with LSD. But they didn't just want to see what would happen. They wanted to watch. These safe houses were wired for observation? Behind two-way mirrors, CIA agents would sit with notepads and martinis, taking notes and filming as the prostitutes dosed their clients? They were studying the effects of LSD on unsuspecting individuals, hoping to find ways to exploit it in interrogations? It was a grotesque violation of privacy and human dignity, a secret theater of cruelty funded by the American taxpayer? What other operations like this were never uncovered?
But MKUltra wasn't just about drugs. It was a comprehensive assault on the psyche. Sub-project after sub-project explored other avenues of control. They used hypnosis, trying to implant triggers and commands deep in a subject's subconscious. They utilized extreme sensory deprivation, verbal and even sexual abuse, and other forms of psychological torture. The goal was always the same: to break a person down, to de-pattern their mind and rebuild it in a new image.
Project MKUltra was officially shut down in 1973. The story, we are told, ends there. But this is where our deep dive truly begins. Because the documents don't tell us everything. They confirm the methods, but not the results. What if the project didn't fail? What if it succeeded in ways we can't even imagine? The official story is that MKUltra ended. The conspiracy suggests it simply went dark, evolving into something new. Consider this as the first major piece of speculative evidence. Pose the final question thoughtfully. Consider the case of Ted Kaczynski, the man who would become the Unabomber. From 1959 to 1962, as a brilliant but vulnerable student at Harvard, Kaczynski participated in a brutal psychological study. Led by psychologist Henry Murray, who had connections to the CIA's predecessor, the OSS, the study was designed to break down a subject's ego. Kaczynski was verbally abused and humiliated for years. Could this have been an offshoot of MKUltra? Kaczynski's lawyers argued that this experiment was the crucible that forged the Unabomber, fueling his rage against technology and society. The timeline fits. The methods align with MKUltra's known goals of de-patterning the mind. Was Ted Kaczynski an unwitting graduate of the CIA's mind control program? Is it possible that the agency's experiments didn't just study minds, but created monsters that they then unleashed upon the world? This leads to an even darker question. What was the ultimate goal of MKUltra? Many researchers believe it was to create a Manchurian candidate, a programmable assassin who could be triggered to kill and then have no memory of the event. Look at the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy. The convicted killer, Sirhan Sirhan, has always maintained he has no memory of the shooting. His lawyers have argued he was in a hypnotic state. Witnesses at the scene reported Sirhan seemed to be in a trance, a strange smile on his face. Could he have been a product of MKUltra, a living weapon, activated and then wiped clean? We may never know for sure, because the files that could prove or disprove this theory are the very ones that were shredded. It's a perfect circle of secrecy. The crime is erased by the cover-up, leaving only unsettling questions in its wake. This brings us to the present day, the final and most disturbing question. Was MKUltra truly terminated, or did it just evolve? Did the CIA abandon its quest for mind control, or did they simply find better, more subtle tools? In an age of mass media, social networks, and algorithms that know us better than we know ourselves, the methods of manipulation have become infinitely more sophisticated. You don't need LSD when you can control the flow of information. Could the principles of MKUltra, de-patterning, suggestion, and control now be deployed on a mass scale? A digital version of the program, influencing public opinion, shaping narratives, and subtly guiding our thoughts and behaviors without us ever knowing. The safe house is no longer a building, it's the screen in your hand. The two-way mirror is the algorithm, watching, learning, and reflecting back a reality it wants you to see. The story of Project MKUltra is a journey down a rabbit hole where the floor keeps dropping out. It's a conspiracy founded on an undeniable, documented truth. We know the CIA drugged and tortured its own citizens in a quest for mind control. We know they destroyed the evidence. That isn't a theory, that is history. The only unanswered question, the one that should keep you up at night, is not if it happened. It's how far did it go? Who were its unidentified victims? And did a program so vital to the shadow war for our minds ever really, truly end? Or did it just change its name? The truth, as they say, is out there. But some truths are buried so deep they may never see the light of day. The one thing we know for sure is that someone, somewhere, went to a lot of trouble to make sure we never find it.